New York, end of May. Its population all squeezed in. Its never-ending skyscrapers. The love stories between sports and the Big Apple are numerous. The Marathon, the Mets, the Knicks, Flushing Meadow. It's not usually known for its love of ocean racing. However, to have the departure of the first race of the new IMOCA Ocean Masters World Championship from this metropolis is the ambitious dream of entrepreneur Sir Keith Mills. The double-handed Transat New York-Barcelona is today a reality. The race is the event to be at before the Route du Rhum and the Barcelona World Race, which will take place at the end of the year.
The sport has been a very French sport for many years, for 20 plus years, and yet more and more sailors from around the world want to compete. So here we have a race that's starting tomorrow with a US skipper, a Hungarian skipper, Spanish skippers. We also have some French skippers too. But the idea is that by expanding the sport to different destinations with different teams, we'll bring more commercial support into the sport.
If we can bring boats like this to New York City, everybody sitting in the skyscrapers here who have got the money and the ability to spend it, they see what's going on here, you know, and it's hard not to like it. It's visually spectacular. The stories that come out of ocean racing are great, and so you know, Keith Mills and OSM are doing a really good job of putting it all together and trying to get the class some momentum moving forward.
On board Hugo Boss, the American Ryan Braymeyer came in at the last minute to replace the skipper Alex Thompson, who stayed home for the birth of his daughter. He will team up with the Spanish world yachtsman Pepe Ribes, another favourite, Safran, the boat of the French skipper Marc Guillemot. He's associated with his future successor, the newcomer Morgan Lagreviere. Neutrogena brings together for their first time in a 60-foot a Spanish-Chilean pair, Guillermo Altadil, a big name in the world of the ocean racing, and the South American José Munoz, a regular of the Class 40 division. The only mixed duo, Ana Corbella and Gerard Marin, are at the helm of Guess, who both competed for the first time in this prologue and in the Hugo Boss Watches charity race. Hugo Boss wins in the taste of racing and donates their prize money to charity. There are only 5 days left until the crews cast off. Before leaving, the crowd's behind to be no more than 2 in a 60-foot boat. The living space won't be bigger than 15 square metres, but skippers are used to the harshness of their sport, and it's often good to navigate in pairs. I'm 26, 27 years old. Mark has the double, and it's true that we are generations apart, and so different points of view, different know-how, a different experience, and such complementarity is really interesting in a sportive point of view. People tend to think that navigating with a woman is a disadvantage on a physical point of view, and that the crew is less powerful. That's not false, but the important thing is the good functioning between us. She keeps her cold blood, and she always does things calmly, so our lack of power, ultimately not determinant. The main thing is that things are well done, and Anna brings a lot in this sense.
The very nice thing about sailing double-handed is that when you go to sleep, you can actually sleep, because you don't have any worry about what's going on with the boat. You know that somebody is awake and dealing with things.
We share the work on board. I'm often in charge of the navigation. Rosé is more in charge of the mechanics, like recharging the batteries, for example, taking care of the water maker.
Yeah, you can have the boat at 100% the whole time, so it's really nice. It's a very good way to sail these boats because you can get the full potential out of them.
However, Hugo Boss nearly stayed behind at the quay. Victim of a damage on the delivery convoy, the boat was in the hands of the shore team, who only had 10 days to repair the mast.
They went through a really big storm. They had 50, 60 knots. And unfortunately, we broke the top of the Hugo Boss mast. We had to go to Newport. We were there for 10 days, and we just the team did an amazing job. We had guys come from Sri Lanka, New Zealand, from France, from the UK, and we put that boat back together. Now they tell us The mast is stronger than ever and better than ever.
Spirit of Hungary is the fifth boat competing. The Hungarians arrive at the last moment, just the day before the start. A hero in his country, Nandor Far designed his 60-foot monohull himself with his compatriot Marcel Gozleth. They are warmly welcomed by Sir Keith Mills and the legend Sir Robin Knox Johnston, who will race the Route du Rhum in November. 24 hours before departure, everyone is focusing on their ambitions. If, for the Hungarians, the challenge is to make it to the departure line, others want to take the opportunity of the Transat to repeat their ranges, go back over the basics, brush up before the World Tour in December. And then there are those who are dreaming of victory, of course. We take the race as a life-size training for the Barcelona World Race. We don't have the fastest boat, but we know it very well. We did thousands of miles with it. We can rely on it, and we are sure that we won't have any major technical issues. This will be our strength, and we will play with it. We have a good boat, we have a lot of experience, although we didn't train ourselves as much as we would like to. But our aim is to be ahead of the fleet. Of course, a lot can happen during a race, but when you participate in a regatta, your aim is to win, isn't it? Until the last moment, the sailors analyse and rehearse the route of this 3,700 miles transatlantic crossing. The ambitions are perhaps different, but the route will be the same for all.
We have two options for the race tomorrow. We have a limit to call you tomorrow morning. It's at 10. We decide which one we will take. So the limit in the sailing instruction is 169. I will announce you which one we choose depending on the forecast, of course.
Just for the 11-hour procedure, it's because we will have 3 guests coming and to say goodbye to you.
The Transat will run from west to east towards low pressure, but downwind most of the time. That changes the route in a very significant way. It's the position of the ice that is dramatically south this year.
You know, the good thing about that is that the race organization has set a boundary that we can't cross, which makes it quite easy to avoid the ice, in fact. But, you know, it's definitely a strong transatlantic on the Northern Ocean, and, you know, there can be a lot of breeze and big waves.
Another difficulty is Gibraltar, the Mediterranean. No wind, storm jib, all the sails put on. In short, all the dangers of the Mediterranean, and at the same time, the beauty of the finishing line at Barcelona. The 1st of June, the crews cast off from the North Cove Marina. The sailors' spirits go back and forth between haste to do battle and the little twinge of leaving their friends and family behind on the quay. 2 French, 4 Spanish, 2 Hungarians, an American and a Chilean. The parting line will be very international. The experience in the fleet is colossal. The weather conditions are light for the departure. The Statue of Liberty offers, for the last time, a kind look to the competitors.
Seconds. 20 seconds.
Sir Keith Mills starts the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done.
The cannon used for the starting of the New York Marathon announces the start, and it is indeed a marathon of almost 2 weeks that awaits these extraordinary sailors. There are only 4 boats left after Spirit of Hungary abandoned with too many technical issues. The first 48 hours of the race as they enter the Atlantic are crucial. Geis and Neutrogena have got off to the best start. Hugo Boss edged ahead at the first mark at Ellis Island, but it's the French boat Safran that takes the lead at the mouth of Hudson. The weather is still mild.
aerodinámica que nos pueda ayudar. Esperando un movimiento de unos 20 graditos de viento, poder traluchar, a ver, meternos un poquito más en la flota. Pero bien, por lo menos ahora hay un poquito más de presión, como que un par de minutos más.
The fleet navigates towards an area of low pressure that will have to be worked around. In theory, Neutrogena and Geiss are well placed, but it is Safran once again that will be the first to reach the stronger winds of the low pressure. The orange boat will increase its lead by reaching in more than 28 knots. Everyone changed from shorts into waterproofs, t-shirts into boots. The boats sail under the famous ice box to avoid the ice drifting far to the south this year. Safran leads the dance in front of Hugo Boss, Neutrogena and Geiss.
Just wake up, get a breakfast, then I go sailing now. The nice conditions outside, it's 25 knots, reaching big waves, so you will see how sweet is this sport.
The breeze will soon stop. On the fifth day of the race, the fleet finds itself ahead of the area of low pressure. Hugo Boss hopes to get into the Gulf Stream to reduce the gap to Safran, who is always ahead.
It's like as Marc Guillermo in the race around Spain 2 years ago in the Mocha boat, and he beat us in every race. So let's hope we change the motion.
Estamos navegando muy contentos porque llevamos unos días muy incómodos, con viento de través, que el barco pues se ha movido mucho, hemos dado muchos pantocazos y lo hemos pasado un poco incómodo, y ahora vamos de popa con el SPI con 15 nudos y estamos disfrutando muchísimo.
The harsh conditions have caused damages. IT on Safran, Mainsail, Batten on Geiss, Neutrogena and mainly Hugo Boss, who have had battery problems since the start, are not spared.
One of them, the car is right near a joint on the mast track, which broke a piece of the mast track off, quite small. Luckily we have this piece, which is slightly longer, that we can slot directly into place and screw in. Just another example of how a small problem like a little wrap in the kite can lead to much bigger problems like repairing a track on the mast. Back to no sleeping.
A week went by. At mid-ocean, the fleet regroups. The Southerners, Safran and Hugo Boss, are rejoined by Neutrogena and Geiss. There's only 25 miles between the leaders Safran and Geiss. It's a new start as they approach the Azores. The boats are heading downwind, saloming between the grains. In one night, the tricolor tandem will negotiate once again for the better.
Joindre le Safran, les conditions ont bien changé depuis hier. Si vous n'aviez pas vu les images, eh bien hier c'était comme ça.
Pour résumer la situation, on a eu une zone de transition hier à négocier en fin de journée. Donc on est passé du petit SPI au grand SPI au code 0 et de 35 000 d'avance à 20. Donc on était un peu dégoûtés sur le coup, et au final il se trouve qu'on est toujours dans cette transition plus ou moins, mais toute la nuit ça a été favorable pour nous. Le vent était par devant, on a creusé l'écart et on doit se retrouver aujourd'hui à quasiment 50 000 d'avance là sur le deuxième, et on est toujours plus rapide et on est peut-être en train de sortir gentiment de cette zone-là.
The head-to-head battle between Hugo Boss, Safran, is always to the advantage of the French.
At this point, it is what it is. You know, we've made the decisions we made based on the information that we had, and we've done a less good job than they have at this point, or they've gotten luckier than we have, whichever way you want to look at it. And so, you know, we don't get down because of this. We just work hard to try to get our, back into a sort of successful mode.
On the 10th day of the race, Safran is at the entrance of the Strait of Gibraltar, getting close to 40 knots of wind. Morgan Lagraviere, who is doing his first Transat, and Marc Guillemot, that have been dominant from the beginning. The last straight is within arm's reach, and that's when the accident happens. Great fear for Marc Guillemot. The boat runs into trouble at Cadiz. New turning point in the race. The phone call in the middle of the night, it's not only to say good morning, we know right away that it's something seriously bad, important. That's when we have to be prepared straight away to the good response, and that's what makes this little core of the race direction interesting. On land, the race management turned into a crisis cell. Marc Guillemot and Morgan Lagraviere testify.
Il y avait un peu de mer, bon, il y a 30-35 du vent, il y avait de la mer, et puis à un moment il y a une espèce de grosse vague, genre déferlant. Du coup le bateau est monté, moi je suis monté aussi bien sûr, et le bateau étant plus lourd, il est descendu plus vite, et puis moi j'étais à 1 mètre au-dessus, ou je sais pas, mais enfin un peu plus haut, et je me suis écrasé, je suis tombé sur le côté, heureusement que Morgan a vu que qu'il se passait quelque chose de pas bien, il a pu m'aider à revenir en arrière et
j'ai eu très peur sur le coup parce qu'en fait j'étais persuadé qu'il allait finir à l'eau, quoi. La puissance et la force de la vague c'était tellement monstrueux que je me suis dit bon bah ok il est plus là, quoi. Et c'est vrai que après il était quand même sous l'effet de choc, j'ai vraiment aidé à moitié traîner pour revenir à l'arrière. Tellement c'était douloureux et on a vraiment tenu autant qu'il pouvait, mais ça ne le faisait pas en termes de douleur. Donc lui et moi, on a décidé d'abandonner.
Only 3 boats will be crossing the Strait of Gibraltar, Hugo Boss in at the head of the fleet, followed by their best enemy, Neutrogena.
Yesterday afternoon we passed the Strait of Gibraltar, which was interesting to say the least, and since then we've had some very lucky wind directions. We've sailed basically east in the Alboran Sea, and now we're turning a bit northeast to go up towards Barcelona. It's been very exciting. It's a nail-biting race with Guillermo Altadil. He's not far behind us on Neutrogena, not very far at all, and so we're working very hard this morning to try to eke out every ounce of boat speed that we can in light air, hoping to get a Hugo Boss win going into Barcelona.
Neutrogena becomes the fly in the ointment for Hugo Boss for the final days. After Gibraltar, sailing in heavy seas and a headwind, the capricious Mediterranean becomes a battleground for both crews. 30 miles lead for the British-based boat off the south of Portugal, just 11 miles after the strait. Both boats are neck and neck, battling it out. Neutrogena excels in light winds. This boat has already won the Route du Rhum and placed 3rd at the Vendée Globe, enough to give cold sweats to the Bremeyer-Ribes pair. Even more so because on board the leading boat, the small damages are still making life difficult for both sailors. For 11 days, the boat has been pushed to its maximum to catch up with Safran, and it's still at its limits to escape the clutches of Neutrogena. The finishing line in Barcelona is on the horizon. The outcome is uncertain. Finally, on the 15th of June, Ryan Bremeyer and Pepe Ribes in Hugo Boss, exhausted, win the New York-Barcelona race in 14 days, 2 hours and 44 minutes.
It feels great to have gotten here. We were preparing ourselves for another 18 hours of slatting around out there, and luckily we didn't have it. We had actually some really nice conditions towards the end of the day here with just enough breeze.
This has been a very long and difficult race. After the crossing of the strait after Safran abandoned, we were 3 boats in 70 miles. The Mediterranean has been intense and interesting. This has really been a race of contact and constantly under pressure. Ryan and Pepe have known each other for 9 years. For them, the victory is even more rewarding as they almost couldn't make it to the starting line.
the whole portion in the Atlantic was great. We had superb conditions, downwind or reaching most of the time, and it was just, you can't call it champagne sailing when you have to wear foul weather gear all the time, but it's as close to that as you could get, you know. Really good, really nice trip. You know, we spent one day off the Portuguese coast with the A3 up doing 23, 24 knots, and that was spectacular.
It's always special to arrive in the city where you live, your family, your friends, they're all there. Yes, that's really a special feeling. Pepe Ribes can finally hug his son. The record holders who managed the crossing within 12 days will not have been beaten. But who cares? This first edition of the IMOCA Ocean Masters New York to Barcelona was thrilling.
I need to clean myself a little bit probably. It's been 15 days or however long now, no bathing, so that's a first step, and then I'm gonna eat and drink, I think, like normal.
Almost 4 hours after Hugo Boss, the first Spanish-Chilean crew to compete in an IMOCA race crosses the finishing line. Both men savour the experience, even if they believed in the victory until the end. We had the impression of going faster. We sailed almost at sight. With the softness we had a deep hope that they would stay calm and we would pass them. Honestly, until the last moment we told ourselves that we could win. I love sailing, the competition, and here, on a 60-foot boat, everything was still different. New, the sails are larger. I'm happy to arrive in Barcelona. We get on very well with Guillermo. We really sailed very well. We lacked of a few things to win, but it was good. The day after, Barcelona welcomes home two of their children. The Catalan Marín and Corbella finished in 14 days, 21 hours and 43 minutes.
Estamos muy contentos, hay un poco de sabor agridulce.
We are really happy, but we keep a bittersweet taste of the race. In matters of manoeuvring, the knowledge of the boat really went well. The worst moment was when we lost all hope to win. When we crossed the Azores, we took a risky option. And that's for sure where we made a mistake. Yet we were sure that it would work, but it didn't. All competitors arrived safe and sound. Even the recovering Marc Guillermo made the journey to the Real Club Náutica de Barcelona in the heart of the Catalan city to congratulate Ryan Bremeyer and Pepe Ribes. If Spain cries for the elimination of the Roja in the World Cup the day before, Barcelona soothes the pain with the joy of a first successful competition. The Ocean Masters World Championship is launched, and in the most beautiful way. Vision and passion of Sir Keith Mills, associated with the FNOB, the Oceanic Race Foundation of Barcelona, should promise a beautiful future for the Ocean Masters Global Circuit. Next event in the Route du Rhum at the beginning of November, and the third edition of the Barcelona World Race, the only non-stop world tour in pairs that sets off at the end of December.